Hey, everybody. This is from Justin McCain. I'm Mike.
And I'm Bob. And this week we have a very special episode. It is October. It is spooky month. And we have a lovely friend on named Julia, who is a resident horror expert and friend. Say hi, Julia.
Hi, Julia. No,
Nice,
hi,
nice.
everybody. What an honor to be here.
Mike, can you tell the canines, that's what we call them, Julia,
Oh,
our fans,
cool.
all 20 of them.
Yeah, we gave them that name, and no person has self-identified as such.
But they haven't refused it. Nobody said, don't call me that. They're just saying, that's
Precisely.
my name.
We
Don't worry
ignore
about it.
all public comments and emails, but nobody has refused it yet.
Excellent.
But let's explain why Julia's on this episode and what movie we're doing, Mike.
For Spooky Month, we're going to be changing things up a little bit. We're not going to be doing 2 movies as we usually do. We're only doing 1 this week, and it's a scary movie or a horror movie or a creepy movie, depending on your perspective on the film.
Or a gross movie.
Or a gross movie, yeah.
Repulsive film. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Some people call it that.
Just some gentle body horror, Bob. Chill out.
It wasn't that gentle. Cannibalism is intense to watch.
Spoiler alert.
All right.
I know. Here's the thing. I didn't read anything about the movie. I just literally hit play and woof. It was a wake up. That's for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, it was
That's the
really...
power of cinema.
Yeah, I love when that happens, when you walk in knowing nothing, and then sometimes I only have posters to go off of. I'm like, ooh, it's a rainy day, and there's a woman with her coffee looking wistfully out the train window. Could be about, it could be a rom-com. Could be about zombies. Who knows? But
Or cannibalism.
Or cannibalism. Yeah. You
Who
never know.
knows?
You never freaking know.
So we thought it would be fun to have Julia on as a guest for this podcast because the movie we're talking about is 2016's Raw, directed by Julie Ducournau, a French filmmaker. It's a little body horror film that explores veganism, and it's set at a veterinarian school. And I thought Julia would have some interesting takes because Julia is currently in veterinary school and is a vegan.
I'm not in vet school yet.
Oh, not yet. But yeah, you're
Working your way to being in veterinarian
you're
school.
I'm pre-vet.
Pre-vet, yeah. I don't know anything about
I love that.
veterinarianism at all. So,
Well, it's a way of life.
I thought it was like
first of
a
all.
2-month diploma, but I'm mistaken. It's medical school. It's intense.
It's medical school, except for you. Instead of just knowing 1 species, you have to know 9. And
only 9?
That's a lot of species.
Yeah, because there's barn animals and pets, small companion animals, and then depending on whether or not you specialize in exotic animals, that could be totally different set of animals. Exotic meaning like zoo animals.
Will you be specializing in like pets and companions as well as farm?
No,
animals?
well, you
That's
choose
gonna
one of
be your
3.
thing?
So my choice will definitely, at this point in time, I'm like, I really want to be a companion animal veterinarian because I really like dogs and I really like cats and I love the human-animal bond. That's kind of a big thing that's drawing me to become a vet. So I think that's probably the best way to do my work is just to see, a person fall in love with an animal and learn to communicate with them until the end of their days. I think it's so special.
do you think dogs and cats get like a huge percentage of veterinary attention relative to the rest of the animals on the planet because they're our companions?
I think so, yeah. But
Yeah, they lucked
a couple
out.
of yeah, for sure. But one of the vets that I'm kind of chatting with just about the career, she said that she's seen an increase in patients such as bunnies and lizards and whatnot, and she's had more patients in the last few years that are rabbits. Sorry, I was lepidophores is the family for rabbits. And they come in for like regular teeth sharpenings and other things like that because they have ever-growing teeth. So they need to have them dulled down unless they're out in the wild and consuming things that would otherwise do that naturally. So that's like, it's weird. It's a dynamic field nowadays because, 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't really care that much about pets and animals. And by don't really care about, I mean, it was more common for people to say, oh, my dog is sick, I'm just going to put it down instead of my dog is sick, what can I do to help it? And pets have kind of come more into family member roles in families, family member roles in families. They're becoming more part of the family, and people are willing to spend more money on pets. So there's been an increase in the types of animals that do come in and the longevity that you have with each animal. So it's really beautiful.
Soon they will usurp us all.
Yeah, they're going to take over.
They take over the family unit first.
Yeah.
Terminator was all wrong. It's going to be small dogs and cats and birds and bunnies taking over the future. And then you'll have to send back somebody to defend somebody from like a parrot being sent back to the past from the future to kill the spawn of somebody. It's going to be a whole new franchise. Very exciting. Very exciting.
It's going to be a spider's web.
Oh, truly. Would the same person, Julia, like a vet, would work on a dog, like have a patient that's a dog, a patient that's a cat, a patient that's a bird, and a bunny, and like a snake?
You could.
The same person?
Mm-hmm. Snake might be reaching in exotic animal territory, but I feel like, for the most part, like a bird, dog, cat, gerbil, hamster, rabbit.
Right.
Those are all the same kind of companion animals.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
What if you live in a country where the animals that we consider to be exotic are very common? Then would they be called exotic animals over there, or would they just be companion animals? Like a house hippo. That's
I think that would be a companion animal. I think that counts as companion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you work on a hippo?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I don't know if I'll get to. Maybe. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. What's your like? What's your dream? What's your dream animal?
I don't know what my dream animal is. I love them all, Mike. I love all of the animals in the world.
But if you had to like just pick, just to like, it doesn't have to be like your favorite, but just like, this would be a fun thing to learn about and to, I guess, dissect at some point.
Yeah. I think like in terms of most interesting, giraffes are really interesting because they have a really complex cardiovascular pump system to get blood up to their brain against gravity because of their long necks. So how fascinating would that be to learn how to deal with them and handle them?
Some animals are... Sometimes you look at an animal and you're like, that's a friggin' Pokemon right there, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. And that's not even the original 150. Now we're talking the newfangled ones, which I'm learning all about because I'm playing Pokemon Black.
Currently?
Got
on
5
the DS?
badges, baby. Yeah, on my DS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're not playing on the Switch? You're playing on the DS?
Yeah, I got a DS, not a Switch.
Games still come out on the DS?
I don't know. I have it from ages ago. I bought it when I was younger. And
I see.
I think Jess and I were just like, let's get back into Pokemon, like, I don't know, 3 years ago. Yeah. And he got Pokemon White and I got Pokemon Black so we could trade. And I didn't touch it for 3 years because I have this Kirby game and I'm really into Kirby. I love that.
Oh, yes.
And so we just kind of got into Pokemon now over quarantine, and it's been a hoot. I've been having so much fun, but I don't know any of the Pokemon. They come up and I'm like, I don't know what type you are. What do I battle you with? It's too much stress.
How many are there in Pokemon Black and White? There must be not like that many. Now we're at like 1,000 or something. To the point, I think the latest game, they scaled it back and people were really mad because they were like, there's so many Pokemon that I like that are in the top like 1,100 or whatever. I don't want there to be 700 Pokemon again. Yeah,
in my Pokedex, there's only room for 150.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's good.
So once I combed through, I was like, oh, that's a manageable amount.
Yeah, I'm a purist. I come from the blue and red era, and I can't imagine trying to remember anything beyond the 150. And also the original 150 are basically just like, a bird? Here's a bird. Here a seal? This is a seal. It's just like, these aren't really mythical creatures.
Yeah, but these Pokemon in this game, it's really fucked, Mike. It's like there's an ice cream cone Pokemon. It's called Vanilla or something.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I've heard about this. There's also in one of the games, there's a keychain. It's just literally a keychain.
A floating keychain?
It's like, I can't remember what his name is, but it's one of the stupidest / best ones. Yeah. There's also a dog that just paints, and that's his whole thing. Smeagol or Smeargle? Smeargle.
Smeargle.
Yeah.
Schmoogle. Sounds right.
Just say the syllables.
This is a super smooth segue / I'm genuinely curious. What's the veterinarian game like in the Pokemon universe? Like, does one veterinarian, do we know this? Is this canon? Is there any literature on this that like a veterinarian only does fire Pokemon? I don't know what the species are. Like this like fire, grass, water,
yeah, those are types.
/ earth types. Okay. So would one individual like, I just work with rocky guys, and another one's like, I just deal with the flamey types, and then another one is wearing a snorkel, and it's like, I just work with the water ones. Is that a thing? Or
yeah, like the gyms are specialized, highly specialized. So you'll have a gym that's like, I only like fire Pokemon, so you best bring.
Do they have in-house medical staff?
Well, what are the names of the clinics, the Pokemon centers?
It's Poke Centers. That's like the clinics, I guess. Yeah, those are the vets. And the thing is like you just pass over your ball, and then she puts them on a magical scale, and then they flash, and then they're healed.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So there's no like scenes. I literally know nothing about this. There's no scenes of like open surgery. Like my fucking Squirtle's going to die.
Although I think
it needs a heart transplant.
I watched the Pokemon cartoon back in the original 150, and I seem to recall there was some like there's this nurse character that she would come and go, and Nurse Joy maybe was her name, I think. Anyway, I feel like there's a couple of episodes where a Pokemon was seriously injured and she had to go in and you know how in anime they draw like wounds by like hatching little spots on the body, and they're like, oh no, they're wounded, or they wrapped bandages around a part. So that was it was implied, but I didn't see any surgery.
Yeah, because they don't necessarily die; they just faint always when they get beat up.
That's right.
And like, to be a Pokemon vet, you got to be like working hard or overtime, like because they're just like that's the whole thing. They're just getting beat up constantly.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Pokemon centers work as they do, because it would be too much.
Yeah, and like you try and find out more in the game, but when you talk to the person at the center, they just say the same thing every time you ask them a question. So
it's true. Although in this game, there are doctors. Sometimes you'll run into them in like areas where you'll need to, like a cave or a desert where you won't have access to a Poke Center for ages. Then there's like a doctor that if you beat, usually it's a him. Also, everything is gendered in this game, so it's like Nurse Dave, and then it has the little male symbol or whatever, and Pokemon are gendered. Everybody is, except for this one Pokemon that's just 2 gears.
Right.
And it's called Clinky or Clink or something like that. Anyways, if you beat a doctor, then they offer to heal your Pokemon anytime that you come by them. So it's really handy in caves.
It's weird that in the game that the Pokemon, like at the very beginning, literally Dr. Oak or whatever the guy's name is at the beginning of
Professor
the new ones. Yeah. Is like a doctor, I think. I guess it's more of an academic.
I think he's an academic.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Because I was going to say, if he's a doctor, then he's basically like, hey, you got to get into Pokemon. You got to like go and make your Pokemon fight. But it's like, why does this guy, what stake does he have in making you make Pokemon fight? But maybe there must be some sort of they must get a huge payout or something. Like he wants these Pokemon to get hurt just so he can make some money.
Oh, maybe.
So they can fix them, or maybe there's some...
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's like it's like privately, it's like privately owned prisons, but in the Pokemon world.
Oh, yeah.
So listen, this has all been very valuable information.
Oh yes, of course.
For me and the listeners. But back to veterinarianism / veganism / horror films and the month of October. Just before we get into Raw, Julia, are you into horror in general as a genre?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, so name like what's your top 5? Like what do you love watching every year? Any habits or traditions rather?
It's different because I love watching horror at all times of the year, and then sometimes we try to only watch horror movies in October, but because we watch them throughout the year, it's not quite like a special thing. However, we make a point to watch The Addams Family every year, though I don't call that a horror. But seriously, when we're talking about like top 5 horror, I think I really love Midsommar. Just been watching it over and over again recently. Nice. And by that, it's a heavy watch, so I don't really mean over and over again. I mean like once every 2 or 3
it
months.
ends, and then you're like, I'm going to start that again.
Rewind, play.
Ooh, I love the part where the old man his head hits the rock.
I love that part.
Just like making dinner and your laptop on the counter is just Midsommar and you're just like sauteing some mushrooms. You're like, I'm just casually viewing this horrifying film.
Just
wearing your bear onesie.
Yeah, it's actually a Star Wars onesie. Oh. No, I get the joke. Sorry. Yep. Please edit that
but
out.
we know that you wear a onesie now.
Yeah, I have a onesie. And then I feel like there's more traditions when it comes to Christmas time because there's a few horror Christmas movies that we really like. Black Christmas is on my top 5, which is
classic.
One of the
yes.
I mean, you two probably know all about it, but it was the original. I would say the precursor to Halloween, and in a sense, what I've heard, and I have not confirmed this through fact, but that it was a movie that was created Carpenter was looking to create Halloween as like a, let's go by seasons and seasonal horror movies and themes to that effect. And then Black Christmas came out, but he had somehow released Halloween before then, so he kind of jumped the gun I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but a lot of people think that Black Christmas was supposed to be what Halloween ended up being in terms of like trajectory. I really love it. It's like when I saw it at first in a theater, so all of the like claustrophobia of just being in that house and having somebody else in the house, like that's where the calls coming from inside the house originated, that film. So
that's right. Yeah,
that it's really it really hit me hard the first time I watched it. So it's a favorite that we watch every year. And then other traditions in December is Krampus, which I love more and more every year.
Oh, Krampus is a good time.
Yeah,
that movie's fucking fun.
It's
never
fun.
seen it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, a lot of people say how bad it is, but I truly think it's a fun romp, great character, like creature design, I suppose. And it does a good job, I feel, of like not showing too much right away. It kind of paces it, which is really nice. And then we also sorry, I'm jumping back and forth, but in October we often watch Trick or Treat, which is an anthology film.
That's right.
I don't remember who directed it, but
it's the live action film, right?
Yeah.
It's a live action
with the little pumpkin person.
Yeah, Sam the pumpkin guy.
Yes. That movie's fun.
By Michael Dougherty. Dougherty?
Well, no, we'll never know.
We'll never know. There's no way to confirm that. how to pronounce his name. But that's something we watch every Halloween, or I guess every October. I feel like I'm bridging between top 5 movies and traditional movies, but
both are fine. That's like a great answer, and I mean, I just threw you on the spot, but I don't know. That was like, that is a tradition. I literally have no Halloween tradition whatsoever, so yeah. That's great. And I actually watched Trick or Treat with you like 2 Halloweens ago, and that was the first time I had seen it. And didn't we watch? It's like an animated film.
Yeah.
The Halloween tree or something. The pumpkin tree. What's that called?
It's the Halloween tree. Yeah, that's something we watch every Halloween.
Is it R.L. Stein or who?
No,
wrote
it's
that?
Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury. Right. That's fun too. That's a great like family show too. It's
great.
Very family friendly.
What I love about that film the most is that and what I love in essence about Halloween the most is that it kind of normalizes death and dying, and that there is an end to life. And in that movie, it does a really good job of just showing how different cultures celebrate death in their own little way, their unique way. So yeah, I really like it, even though it gets to a point where you're like, oh no, it's really sad, and then everything is fine at the end. It's a great film, great little ditty, little short guy.
Yeah,
never heard of that one. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only ever watched it illegally because I can't find it anywhere. So I've just streamed it or downloaded it and then watched it. Sorry.
We've watched our fair share of illegal downloads for sure. Sometimes it's what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
You know? Yeah.
I don't know. Is it illegal to watch things on Potato Vision?
I don't know. What's Potato Vision?
Potato Vision is those websites where you go on and you try and find a movie, and it makes you watch, like, you have to click through 20 ads that pop up.
No,
and then you click the button, and it buffers for 5 minutes, and then you watch thing you're trying to watch.
So apparently,
earned
like
that.
in Canada
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
there's like the federal like writing of the policy is very vague as to it's illegal to download it, but if you're watching something that has been downloaded and is streaming for you, that's not illegal.
Yeah.
So no, I think in your words, not mine, Potato Vision is perfectly legit. Frowned upon, but perfectly legit.
Yeah, it's called Potato Vision because sometimes it's like watching a movie through a potato. It is so pixelated.
So many pixels. Yeah. The pixels are the size of potatoes.
There's
Trying
no
to
way to
imagine
make
what
the buffering better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to imagine
yeah.
what a potato television set would look like or how it would be built. Cathode ray.
Can you make a clock out of a potato? Like this
Yeah.
electrical current in a
Yeah,
because of its
there's electrical current running through all of us.
Oh, wow.
what?
Yeah.
Wow, you are going to veterinarian school.
I know
My
a thing or two about
goodness.
science. Didn't hear that? I winked.
Let's get into the movie Raw.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it today for the first time, and the last time
Oh, so it's
I
fresh.
was horrified. Super fresh. I don't know about you two. When was the last time you two watched it? Probably a while ago, right?
For me, I watched it earlier this year. I feel like it was pre-pandemic because I feel like, Meg, I saw you at some point and I was like, we watched Raw. I have to return your DVD.
Oh,
I
right.
still
Yeah.
have Yeah.
Do you
it's
still
over
have
my
the
shoulder.
DVD?
Yeah, it's here.
Oh, nice.
It's the Australian Blu-ray.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because I'd researched that film and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a wild, like, the director's name is actually Julia, not Julie. And then it's about a veterinary student and it's about a vegan student. I was like, this movie's made for me. I have to watch it. I'm glad I did. But yeah, I still have your DVD.
Mike's real chill about lending Blu-rays out. Let me tell you, I've sat on a few of them for a while.
Yeah, you insist on sitting on them and they always break.
Well,
You're just like, this is going to hatch another
I'm just a
one
mother
eventually.
hen warming her egg, okay, and it happens to be a Blu-ray of Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love or some other film. Deal with it.
It's
Sorry,
strange
man.
that they don't build DVD cases to withstand the weight of a grown man.
That is weird.
Yeah,
Grown
with a
human.
particularly bony butt as well. You know, I digress.
Bob, would you mind summarizing or synopsizing the films for our listener? Or
I would
synopsizing
love
the film?
Yes, I think that's a great idea. I just need to figure out the lead character's name. Justine. Okay, so the film starts out and Justine is being driven to veterinarian school?
Veterinary?
I'm gonna fuck that up and say veterans several times, but whatever.
But it's French, so it's Le Vétérinaire School.
L'école de vétérinaire.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have a French last name and I'm not going to add to the very competent French accents that just happened. Anyway, so Justine's being driven to school by her parents who are both well-respected veterinarians themselves. She comes from a long line of veterinarians. She arrives at school. Her older sister is in her final year, and her name is Alexia.
That's right.
Question mark?
Something like that.
Alexia. And basically, as she arrives at school, there's like a froshing that happens. All the first years get treated like shit, and then there's a really fun party, and that's where she runs into her sister for the first time. And then basically, as the film transpires, what unfolds before Justine is she slowly feels tendencies towards cannibalism. It starts by, during the froshing, she has to eat like a rabbit liver or heart, some sort of small internal organ.
Kidney, I think.
And then she like gets sick from it. She gets a rash from it. But then that's sort of the gateway to her then feeling a proclivity to eat people and human flesh. And then there is a scene where she has a little nibble of her sister's finger. And then we find out that her sister also has these tendencies and they're both into eating people. By the way, when I watched this film, I had no idea what it was about, and it was unsettling for sure. I was just eating my breakfast watching this film, and I was very nauseous the whole time.
Just chewing on a finger, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is disgusting! I hate watching this."
I hate watching other people eat fingers, but for me, it's okay.
This is a bowl of fingers and like oat milk.
You call it fingy soup. Fingy soup.
And so basically, as the stakes raise, her Justine's reputation is sort of just goes through a whole roller coaster of emotions in this school, and her tendency to eat human flesh grows, and her desire grows, and so does her sister's, and they end up like jumping in front of a car so it can crash, so they can eat the victims inside of the car,
In there.
and
And there's her roommate too, right?
Yeah. So then, well, she has sex with her roommate and doesn't eat her roommate, but then the film ends. I don't know how much to give away. Fuck it. Whatever.
I think you can just leave it there. Don't spoil it.
Okay. It's nasty business, and the stakes are high, and it's a good film. I acknowledge that it's a good film, but you should know what you're getting into when you click play, because I thought I was going to watch like just a good time, and it was
grocery games.
it was horrible. It was awful. Anywho, so that's Raw 2016. It is a well-made film, and it's all in French. It's got lovely subtitles. Get to hear the beautiful French language. It's great, but it's very visually gross. It's a nasty movie. It's filled with nasty business.
Was there any things in the film that made you particularly disturbed?
Well, yeah, actually the veterinarian scenes, like they knock out a horse and shove a tube in its throat, for an example, in the classroom. And it felt very reminiscent of the film On Body and Soul, which is a European film. I forget from where, about a butcher factory, like they kill cattle. And it's a love story within this like cattle butchery. And it's similar vibe, because they just like are very pragmatic with how they frame scenes, and they're just like, we're going to show this horse getting knocked out with anesthetic, and then they're going to shove a hose down its throat, and then they're going to lift it with a crane and display it in front of the classroom, and then there's like a dog getting gutted. It's a lot. I mean, it's visceral for sure. So all of it was gross, but to be honest, eating a human finger was unpleasant.
Yeah, she went to town on that fingy for sure.
She ate it like a chicken wing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, I have a pretty solid stomach. Like, I can see I'm fine with a lot of body horror. Not everything, but a lot. High tolerance level. And that scene when she just like, she kind of like sinks her little teeth and like gnaws on it. And like, it's the way that I see people eat wings when they're just like getting those little scraps between the tendons. And I'm like, oh no. And that really got me. That part alone was that, like, because her sister accidentally cuts her own finger off, and then it's a huge like, oh no, what do we do? Let's go to the hospital. And then she like faints. And then in that moment of like finding somewhere to some ice or something to put the finger on, she just looks at it and she's like, well, what if I try it? And then it was that moment where it was just a little bit grossed out. It surprised me.
Yeah, it was during that time that I was like, oh yeah, this movie's about cannibalism. I forgot.
Yeah, totally.
Because I had seen it, I think, once or twice already, and then watching it for this pod was like, oh yeah, this is what this is about. And that I remember why I was disturbed by this film. Because of all of the human eating.
Okay, well, we should like chat about, what did we like about this movie?
I mean, I thought that the aesthetics were great. Like, I like the way it looks. And I think the soundtrack is like an all-time classic. Like, the music.
Soundtrack was fucking great. Yeah. It was solid for sure.
Was it kind of, I can't remember the soundtrack. Was it like electronic kind of?
It's electronic-y, organ-y kind of thing.
Cool.
It has like a
harpsichord too.
Oh,
vibe.
Little harpsy. Little piano. King Henry VIII's piano.
Well, like, what was the statement of the movie? Did either of you walk away and you're like, I know what Julia, the filmmaker, was going for here with this film? I didn't.
I watched some interviews with her, and so I know literally what her statement is. But yeah, Julia or Bob, if you have anything you want to say, like, field a guess maybe, or just what your own interpretation was.
I feel like it was about an unspoken desire for true self-expression in some way. Because in one way, she's chosen this veterinary path, and she is following through, but ultimately, like, her parents have been vets. Her sister is also a vet, so there's that, like, obligatory feeling to it. And then also, like, paraphrased or juxtaposed with her vegetarianism, which I feel like is a conscious choice. Unless, remind me, is it like a family deal that they're all vegetarian?
It was a family thing, yeah. They're all vegan or vegetarians, and they're all veterinarians. A vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Yeah.
Doctor. Yeah, and I didn't watch it like yesterday or today, so I don't recall it, but I do remember walking away feeling like it was maybe an expression of expressing yourself and breaking away from what is put onto you, because cannibalism is so opposite from vegetarianism. And I think veterinarianism was a gateway into having access to these tantalizing things, because it also meant, I remember, because I just kind of brushed up on the synopsis, that her parents were also in the photograph of some froshing activities. And they were like covered in blood. So it's implied that they also went through this hazing ceremony. So I wonder if, and then they clearly are not cannibals, or I don't know, doesn't really tell us or show us otherwise that they are cannibals in their day-to-day. So we have to assume that, like, they were able to return to their sense of self because they kind of were dedicated vegetarians, veterinarians. That's what they're going to do. But Justine was different in the fact that there was something bubbling inside of her that wasn't quite right and wasn't quite her identity. And then that, having the choice of doing something completely 180 degrees from what she's normally been raised to do or been kind of like tunneled into doing. And she's breaking away, and, it's about like autonomy, I think. But I'm not sure.
Nice. Bob?
Yeah,
Bob?
That was great. Very articulate. It felt like a film about destiny and how you can't escape it no matter how hard you try.
Oh,
even when everybody's trying for you. And especially about like familial heritage or like even your sort of genetic predisposition, because I don't want to give the twist away at the end. There's a twist at this end of this movie that I kind of have to use for my argument. I don't know if I want to give it away.
Okay.
Yeah, well, fuck it. I mean, are people going to watch? Fuck it. I have no idea, Mike.
Well, just say, hey, if you don't want the ending spoiled, don't listen
here
for the next like 2-3 minutes.
Okay, fuck it. Stop listening if you don't want to hear the end of this film, which is a great twist. But the film ends. So her sister is a cannibal. She is a cannibal. She goes back to school. She's been kicked out. Her sister's in prison for killing her roommate. And she's sitting at the kitchen table with her dad. And her dad goes, I knew from the first moment that I kissed your mother what she was. And then he unbuttons his shirt and below reveals massive old lacerations that have healed up in this really gross way. So he's just covered in these horrendous scars.
Yeah.
And then he looks at her and says, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And it's just up to her. So they've tried their hardest to get her as far away from eating people as possible. I mean, she's full on vegan. The whole family's vegan. And then at the end, he realizes and her mother realizes there's nothing we can do for you. You've already eaten people. You ate your fucking sister, for crying out loud. You're a goddamn cannibal. It's up to you now. And they all are. Obviously, the father isn't because he's from outside the genetic pool, but just feels like the film is saying you can't escape your fate, your familial fate. There is a cyclical nature to the demons that are in your family.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And the ending was great. I hated the whole movie, and the ending, I was like, nice work, Julia.
Yeah.
Filmmaker. Great.
Thanks.
Nice. It was a solid ending, I thought. Really, really well done.
Yeah, for sure, because then it also implies that the dad gives up what his whatever destiny is to be with this woman that becomes his wife, mother to his children.
Yeah. Well, and he like accepts her for who she is too, and it literally almost destroys him. I mean, he's physically
scarred.
Damaged and scarred from it. Yeah.
So
it says a lot about family and about, in a way, toxic relationships.
Yeah,
too,
totally.
right? And you're like, oh, I love this person. They're destroying me, and I'm going to keep loving them anyways.
Because they're all I have,
Wow.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did it actually mean?
Well, first I want to just flag something. Do you think it's weird that the daughters would not have seen their dad with his shirt off at any point in their life? Like they would have gone to the beach or something?
What if he swam with a t-shirt on?
I guess
Yeah,
so.
he might be insecure and he's rocking a t-shirt all the time.
What
I
if
guess
he's
so.
extremely sun sensitive and he gets a rash? Or he tells his daughters, I get a rash when the sun comes out, so I got to wear a shirt.
I
Got to
guess so,
decrease
yeah.
my exposure to UV.
And do
yeah,
scars
that's a problem.
sunburn easier than just normal
A
skin?
little bit, yeah. Or they react differently in the sun. So maybe that's
Well,
another thing.
there
Is
you
he was
go.
like, got to protect my scars.
Well, I understand that the filmmaker wouldn't have wanted to put in a little monologue about, I know you haven't seen me without my shirt on. And I know that I said that I liked wearing a t-shirt because I'm I'm insecure. No. But if that was the only thing I was like, yeah, that's kind of strange that this would have been the first time she saw her dad without a shirt on, but
a good
whatever.
point.
I actively
That's a flag.
avoid seeing my father's shirt off. So I don't know about you two, but
Okay.
I don't know. It depends on your relationship with
Never
your
been
dad.
in a hot tub with your dad, with Doug?
Or vacationing
No.
in the pool.
I've seen him with his shirt off, of course, but I do actively try to avoid it.
Doug, if you're
Okay,
listening,
that's
I'm
fair.
sorry. Bob doesn't like
Yeah, I
your
love you,
torso.
Sorry,
Dad. You're
Doug.
wonderful. You're one of my best friends, but
Dougie?
I
Dougie?
don't want to see you with your shirt off that often.
Are we doxing
Anywho.
Doug by saying his name? People can put two and two together.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
He wants he loves the limelight. That guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he loves his 15
He's
minutes
all
of
about
fame.
the limelight.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that guy.
So yeah, the filmmaker. I watched a few interviews. She talks about how, first of all, body horror is kind of like an extension of the mind. She talks about how like the rash that the character gets is like a manifestation of like her own anxiety because she goes to the doctor and the doctor says, "No more monkey jumping on the bed." No, she goes to the doctor and
I didn't see that coming.
also when somebody says a joke and then they just say no afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say you bailed so hard on that.
No,
Mike.
but
Oh my god.
no more monkeys jumping on the bed. No. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No. Ignore what I just said.
Ignore
No.
what I just said. That wasn't real. So, no, she goes to the doctor
I didn't mean it.
and the doctor says, no more scratching of your little weird rash and no more monkeys on your bed. No. Okay. So she goes to the doctor. The doctor is like,
So funny.
the doctor is
Stop.
like, it's probably you're stressed or you're anxious or something like that. But
Yeah.
like they're
That school's
basically
pretty intense.
exploring about how your like physical your body can manifest like things from your mind. So there's like that element of body horror to it, but then also talks about how like humans, like cannibalism is like a part of humanity. Like people try and say this is a taboo, but there are like documented cases of cannibalism. There's specific like groups of people who are cannibals, and like and she talks about how like we look at like dictators or we look at murderers as like these monsters. We try to make them not human, but they're just people too. So I guess it's just an exploration of just how humans, all of the terrible things about us, we try and ignore it and say it's a monster, but really it's just part of being a human, which is kind of wild.
Categorizing something as a monster makes it kind of easier to tuck away.
Exactly. So it's easy for us to say, oh, so and so politician because they committed this genocide is a monster. Therefore, I can look at them as this crazy evil thing, and as opposed to just someone like me who just happened to get that job in politics and then got warped over time by whatever force is warping them.
Because although all the decisions are made by the head politician, there's many people working under that person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who are also humans. And
It's
also
the
monsters.
system, man. The system is a monster, man.
The system's a monster, man. Get me out of the system. I'm stuck in the cogs.
What's the name of the cog Pokemon again?
It's called Clink.
Yeah.
Clink. And I nickname all of my Pokemon. It's just fun. There's a Pokemon called like Phariseed, and I called him Grick because Pharaoh. That's a very, very niche reference for all you listeners out there.
Delicious Pharaoh sandwiches.
Yeah. As a plug, this is sponsored by Pharaoh.
Yeah.
#ad. Anyways, and I named my Clink, I named him Kink.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
Actually, that's the only Pokemon with no gender. So I named them Clink.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, the movie, I think, has like a coming of age kind of thing because the characters are teenagers, they're going to college. I think it kind of explores like just the insatiable hunger that comes with growing up and being horny.
Yeah, around all the hot people.
Yeah.
All the sexy hot people.
And also like how her roommate was like always like, hey, I'm gay. And always had to point that out. But then his own hungers were kind of fluid too. And like that kind of changed and it's like you just can't predict sometimes what your desires are.
And I feel like sometimes too in this movie, like she has her big sister to look up to and who's in a way kind of monitoring what she does and how she grows up. Because they're in that same range where she's almost finished, but she still has eyes on her younger sister. Which, having I'm the younger sister in the two, and me and my sister were just at the cusp where I would be in high school and she'd still be in junior high. But in elementary school, it was like, you're always the one looking after your sister. You're always there to like check in on them. Or if they jumped off the big thing in the playground and they winded themselves because they landed on their belly because they were doing a belly flop into the sand, you're there to call the teacher.
Very specific example.
It happened. And you got to be a role model,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Her role model, her model of role model is being upholding the family habits and the family name.
Is your relationship with your sister like the one represented in the film? Is this movie about you, short of the cannibalism thing?
Yeah. I spoke to the director. I said, "Hey, Julia, can you hook me up? Can you write my movie?"
And she said
Please,
yes. She said,
yeah.
oui, oui,
she
oui.
said, oui, bien sûr. I said, merci.
And then she was like, hee, hee, haw, haw, haw.
Do you two think if the comedy classic Animal House didn't exist in this universe, would this film have been called Animal House?
Oh, nice.
Oh, my
That's
God.
Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
it could work
La
as a
Maison
comedy or a
d'Animal.
horror title.
La Maison d'Animal.
La Maison d'Animal. Raw's a pretty good title, I think.
Also, the director, she says it's not a horror movie. She says it has horror elements or that she wanted to explore those ideas, but she doesn't consider it a horror film.
Yeah.
What does she consider it?
She didn't say. Probably like a coming-of-age drama, maybe.
A John Hughes film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also think that like at a certain point you're like, whatever people say this is what it is. It's a horror. It's also easier to sell it as a horror because it's got gore in it. And
horror is sexy right now.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I guess that was 2016, which is a little different. But
yeah.
Well, it's always been sexy, I feel like,
Oh, yeah.
Horror is, yeah. Well, genre is just easy to sell as a concept because you're like, this is a horror film and people already have a preconceived notion and they can go forward with it, right?
Yeah. I think what I mean is like in the last, pretty much like Get Out kind of sparked this new wave of horror cinema, and Get Out and kind of the Blumhouse, Insidious, the Conjuring franchises have like kind of just spurred the market again for horror and like digestible horror. And I'm using air quotes here because it's just like, oh, what's a movie that we can see because we want to get scared in the cinema with my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my partner, and I just can snuggle up to them really close and be all scared. I don't know where I'm going with this. But what I mean is that like Get Out, I feel, came out of this horror boon, and then it was like, yeah, let's make real horror. This is real horror. And then we've discovered what we can do with the genre itself. And I feel like we've gotten more kind of apt horrors in more recent years since Get Out. Like Us is another really good example from Jordan Peele again, but just a little bit more cerebral and a little bit more full of commentary and horror as a state of a state of mind
The
in our own
Babadook.
society. Yeah, and the Babadook as well. Or Babadook.
I couldn't sit through the Babadook.
Why? Because it was
Oh, yeah.
too scary.
Ugh. It's too fucking scary. When a coat hanger out of focus looks like a little demon man with a top hat and tall nails, get the fuck away from me. Hell no. The opening sequence was mesmerizing, like that car accident, then into her bed.
Yeah.
That whole like dream to real life was amazing. But no, that movie, there's so much visual sleight of hand. Get away. I don't know if people know this, but I hate watching horror movies alone. It is the worst.
So I guess this was okay to watch raw because it's not a horror.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a horror, but I wanted to ask, well, how did this film subvert horror then? If it's not a horror film, do we remember anything that really felt like it was sort of it was in a different genre, or it was a moment where it's like, this feels like a different film altogether? Do we remember any moments like that?
I'd say my general feeling was there was a lot of focus on interpersonal relationships, which in classic horror, more so like Del from Slasher, we don't really get to know our characters and how they relate to each other. And this was more like, we're focused on how the sisters feel about each other and how they relate and keeping a secret between the two of them or, like this horrible thing that we can only talk about together. And then a lot of, like sexual tension, which, yes, is quite prevalent in horror in general, but in this way was more just focused on like what Mike said about the insatiable urge of, being young and horny, baby, which was, less classic horror, which I feel like is sometimes used as a distraction or as a diversion or as a symbol of like these types of people will get killed.
Yeah.
Whereas here it wasn't that way. It was like the danger of watching them, knowing that she could bite him to death or eat him to death or whatever. We know what she's capable of, and we're not sure if he knows quite.
I think that's a really good breakdown of it, because it does focus. The characters didn't feel like tropes. There wasn't like the athlete, the nerd. Everyone was in the same boat, which was cool. It was a complex movie, I thought. And there was a lot of family drama and interpersonal drama.
But there was still like that social aspect where she kind of felt like an outcast at first, just because she was like young and, was getting froshed. But then also felt like an outcast because she wanted to eat humans, which is always awkward,
Yeah, exactly.
Super awkward, yeah.
Especially when you develop
do you bridge
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is prevalent in a lot of cannibalistic populations. It's like mad cow disease.
Wait, what?
When you eat human flesh, you're prone to prions, which prions are these cool, they're like sentient proteins that attack your body in a very general nutshell. And those are what causes mad cow disease. And we see it in cannibal populations because eating human flesh is a pretty surefire way to transfer prions or to generate prions. And
So do the prions go from the old flesh into your system if you ingest?
I don't know exactly.
Or does it make them?
I'll look it up.
That's so cool, though.
But that's another major thing of like why we have to stop cannibalism, because you're definitely going to get mad cow.
Wow. And is that why cows get mad cow?
Ooh, I would have to get into the origin of mad cow and like prion diseases within mad cows.
Right. I don't want to quiz you too much here.
No, I'm going to look it up anyway, so.
Oh, okay, great. But that's so interesting. I had no idea. I thought eating people was totally like healthy and good for you.
Oh no, big time.
I guess not.
Yeah. I just was chowing down on a chicken finger, if you know what I mean.
Oh no!
A scaredy cat's finger.
I thought you were a vegetarian, Mike.
Oh, I am a vegetarian. Yeah. Also, it's interesting because how like creeped out or triggered or scared or whatever word you want to use were you, Julia, by this movie, and like the animal stuff or the cannibalism stuff.
To kind of like I think about it a lot where it's like, well, if I'm vegan, like I'm ethically vegan, and kind of somewhat environmentally vegan, but and then I'm thinking like, oh yeah, in vet school I will have to see a lot of dead animals and have to like deal with, the ethics of euthanasia and things like that. But for me, it's like, with this movie especially, it doesn't really gross me out when it's in medical settings or in teaching settings / learning settings. With like eating meat, I haven't eaten meat in so long, like 14 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
I have not eaten any beef, chicken, pork. I was like, when I started, I was kind of pescatarian for a bit, but I really only ate shrimp. And that's a totally different texture and mouthfeel than like vertebrate.
Other fish?
Or I guess fish are vertebrates. Like beef and pork and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a slippery nugget.
Yeah.
It's different. Different mouthfeel, different smell. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I was really triggered by anything. I'm very tolerant of gore and viscera.
Yeah.
So it was totally fine. Also because I know quite well that it's not a real, so I'm not really scared of it or triggered by it. But I think I feel like it's okay in the horse setting where they're sticking a tube down. I'm like, yeah, of course, like we want to learn more about their digestive tract or see what they're kind of digesting and absorbing in there. So naturally you're just gonna stick a tube down a horse's throat to kind of get the nitty gritty.
I did at one point watch this movie with a commentary like many years ago. And apparently that horse was tranquilized in real life.
Oh.
That was like they gave the horse ketamine. But what happened was, I think in the movie they suggest that the horse died or something, or maybe it was just being tranquilized. But they went to, it was at an actual vet school or a veterinary school. So they basically just put the actors in the foreground and then filmed something that
like
was
a class.
just filmed something that was actually happening.
Vets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it was done for
That's the way to
actual
do it.
medical reasons. And then they were like, yeah, you can film it. Why not? Because how else would they get that short of tranquilizing a horse in real life for a movie, which is a wild department to have on a movie set.
Couple production assistants all trying to figure out how to get
Scrambling
ketamine into this 2,000-pound horse that's just not having it. And then they're like, okay, we got to get the crane and cinch it up and lift it. And then, what a nightmare.
Yeah,
where do I get
what a bad day at
ketamine?
the office. Yikes.
Was that your question? Did I answer your question?
Me?
Forgot. Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
have a larger point that I'm arriving at, but I also wanted to point out that the other parts were clearly either like puppets or whatever, like the dog being cut in half was like, that was clearly fake. And then also the part where she had her hand in a cow's vagina.
Yeah. That's a real thing.
That was clearly a fake cow butt.
But like that, that's a thing that you would be taught in vet school. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. Like if you're going to be delivering cows, you gotta get in there elbow deep,
Yeah, you do.
Help that calf out.
The point that I was arriving at was that it's interesting that Bob, the meat eater amongst us, was the one who was kind of the most disturbed by the film. What is it saying, Bob? What is it saying? Join us, join us,
join us, join us.
I'm definitely the biggest piece of shit here because yes, I eat meat sometimes, and I was nauseous through the whole film. So big double standard over here.
Yeah, I feel like when I became a vegetarian, I had to start cooking for myself. And when I started cooking for myself, only then did I realize and appreciate where food comes from. And I feel like just in our Western society, especially, that we are kind of brought up in a way where food arrives at the grocery store pre-cut, or you can buy like frozen chicken nuggies or whatever, and it comes from somewhere and you just accept that it comes from the big machine in the sky. Whereas when you're a vegetarian or a vegan or what have you, you have to kind of really look into like, okay, where do I get my proteins and where do I get my other macros and whatnot to survive? So you're more in tune with what am I eating and where does it come from? Whereas I feel like maybe meat eaters, and this could be a very bad assumption that I'm making, but it's so commonplace that we don't even think about it anymore. So when the curtain is drawn back and we see where it comes from, it's like, oh no, I didn't want to know that. Maybe you blocked it out. That's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, Bob, I didn't mean to put you on blast. I just thought it was an interesting, contrast.
On blast?
Well, yeah, I was going to bring it up myself.
Oh, you were?
Be like, it's so interesting that I was horrified by this movie, and I also am the only one who eats meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really
for
fascinating.
Sure. And I'm sure that would be, well, also, like, how common is it? This will be a question for the future, maybe, but like Once you're in your veterinarian class, Julia, I wonder what the ratio it will be of meat eaters to vegetarians and vegans. I'd be so curious to see what the breakdown's like.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because
Yeah.
currently in my, I'm taking a bunch of animal health courses right now because applications for vet open on October 1st. So I'm
Right.
like, in the meantime, I might as well just take some animal health. It seems like a lot of people are very pro-meat, pro-eating meat, and pro-agriculture because it's in the Department of Agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are dairy farmers, or they're like, yeah, I have chickens that lay eggs. I'm like, oh, what are your chickens' names? They're like, we don't name them. I'm like, okay. Okay.
We do not forge bonds with these
We do not
creatures.
forge
We
bonds with
only we
creatures.
eat their periods, sell their periods, and then cut their heads off. Watch them
Exactly.
dance.
Or if they're male, they just throw them in the wood chipper
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
because they are useless. They only cause trouble and they don't lay eggs.
But they're built their nature's alarm clock. Why would they throw away a perfectly good alarm clock?
I don't know. It's a waste of $5.
In my head, I was like, a male chicken, can't you just eat one? But I realized that's a rooster. It's just like a different beast altogether.
Yeah, because
I don't know anything about animals.
They'd rather like keep a hen that they could potentially have a double use out of like you could be a meat eating or a eating hen or something. I think they do still eat roosters, but they don't keep as many male chicks because it's just a waste. So like if chicks are born male, they just throw them away.
Oh man, bummer.
Feel
Throw
like
them away in the garbage.
I feel like there's some sort of dirty joke we're missing here.
Just throw the cock in the wood chipper. Boom.
Yeah.
That happened to you when you were a kid, right, Bob?
It did. I barely made it out alive.
Wait, what happened?
Here I am. They had to glue me back together. I was just in little pieces, and it was a clerical error.
Oh, somebody fired that clerk. Tell me. Somebody fired him.
Mm-hmm. This was before, like paper trails and such. I have a very convoluted past. I don't want to get into it on here,
So Julia,
Yeah, what's up?
who is your favorite like horror baddie?
Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger?
I love that man. He's a horrible character. He's infinitely unlikable. Like he's a pedophile. He's a horrible guy. He's the son of 1,000 rapists.
Really?
There's a scene, I think it's in Nightmare 4, where it shows his mother who's a nun at an insane asylum. I don't know the name for them when it's an insane asylum, but they're also prisoners. The mental ward at a prison facility. Anyways, it kind of implies that she gets sexually assaulted by by 1,000 maniacs is the catchphrase. So he's the son of 1,000 maniacs, but it's implied that she's been impregnated against her will.
Oh, geez.
I know.
1,000 times.
He's a horrible guy, but
Jeez.
what I love about Freddy Krueger is that he's so aware of what he's good at, which is killing people. And he's really good at catchphrases and one-liners. He's so good.
Yeah.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Yeah.
And then the TV on her head.
He does have a charm considering his backstory for sure.
Yeah, he's got a levity to him that is questionable. But he's a chatter, and I love chatting. And he's so funny. His existence it just brings me joy. Even though he's horrible. I feel like a terrible person for liking Freddy Krueger, but I feel like of all the people to be killed by in a slasher, it would be Freddy.
Well, also he kills people in cool ways too, like
That too.
Very cool. The kills, as they call it, in the horror films are cool generally. He's got cool special effects. He turns the stairs into goo. He is like a snake guy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a scene in Dream Warriors, which I think is the third, where he takes a kid's veins as marionette strings in a dream. Yeah, and then kind of puppets him around until he rips him in half or something like that. I can't remember what the finale is of that, but so creative because I think we have that aspect of dream world that we can get, we can defy the laws of physics and the laws of what we understand the world to be.
Yeah.
And I just find that so fun. I
Which
think
is-
he's such a fascinating man.
Which is the one where he breaks out of the dream reality and is like walking around in the real world, and then like he goes to that pool party.
Oh, I think that's 4.
Yeah, because some of the Freddy Krueger movies take themselves very seriously, and some of them are like, this is kind of like a fun dip into the universe.
Yeah, I think, some of them take themselves so seriously. Like, I feel like the first one was the entry point and very experimental and just unlike any horror I've ever seen, I think, just with like all of the practical effects and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then the second one was a little bit heady and people didn't really quite get it. But the third one is when it hit its stride and the third one has a nice balance of like really, really scary deaths and like scary situations, but the hilarity of Krueger's lines really, really gets me. And then, so like the second one is very serious, but then we have like a towel scene where they're like slapping each other's asses with a towel until they're red. and then it's supposed to be serious, but yeah.
What are your thoughts on New Nightmare, the sequel, the meta sequel that kind of came out in the mid-90s?
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, where it takes place in the real world, where Wes Craven directed these movies, and Freddy Krueger is a fictional character, but then also isn't a fictional character.
He's real. Yeah.
He's real.
Well, how does that work? How did Wes Craven get the idea for him? Did he conjure him as an idea and somehow, like, surreptitiously there was the actual embodiment of this character?
I think that's what's implied. Something like that anyway. It's like Freddy is so bad, we thought he was just fictional, but in reality, he's real, bitch.
Also, Johnny Depp is in the first one. I had no idea.
Yeah. It's really
He
cute.
plays Glenn Lance. I'm going to watch this movie. It looks
He has
like
a really
good
good
time.
death too, Bob. It's like
Yeah.
in the bed.
He's wearing a crop top the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
It is
It's very
a
hunky.
classic. Yeah. I think part of what makes Freddy Krueger, at least the first one, good is because there's like they give you just enough backstory for it to be creepy, but then you never know much more about it. Like I watched Hellraiser 2 last week.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Hellraiser 1 because it's like the special effects are cool. The idea is really good. But then in the second one, I mean, they doubled down on all of the special effects and you get to go to hell and like it's a visual feast. But they also give you a lot of backstory about all the Cenobites and they just give you, there's a lot of canon established and it's like, it kind of wrecks the whole thing because you're like, who are these Cenobites? They're kind of crazy looking and they're weird. Like this guy's got pins in his head. And then they kind of like break it down and you get to see them in their original human form. And it's kind of disappointing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Hellraisers, but canon in general, that's kind of what you're asking about?
Yeah, just like in the Freddy Krueger movie, like does it make, as the movies go on and they establish more about Freddy Krueger, does that make him better? Or is it kind of better when we only know so much about Fred Krueger?
I'm a sucker for background, especially for like background on characters. I feel like it gets to a point where some people, J.J. Abrams, will go too far with like a backstory and make it all about the backstory and forget that there's plot going on. And then I find also with the Nightmare films in general, it's less about, plot. And I feel like over the sequels, I guess, of Nightmare, it kind of it attempts at some background here and there, but it's very loosely sprinkled, I would say. And I think, that's enough for me. I feel like in these types of films, especially, you're not watching it for the characters. You're watching it just for the creative deaths and the special effects. And for me, in my case, Freddy's one-liners.
He has iconic fashion too.
Yeah. Also, I own a sweater of that.
Oh, really?
A Freddy Krueger sweater, but it was a child's sweater because it's cheaper by $10.
Wow.
Oh, spirit of Halloween.
Nice.
It just has a really small head hole, so I have to like really squeeze my head through, but it was cheaper. It's great. Great purchase. I wear it just, every day. I don't wear it every day. I wear it day to day is what I meant to say. And just makes me feel happy. I feel, like also in terms of canon too, like we kind of find out about the son of a thousand maniacs later on, and it doesn't really add much to it. It's like, yeah, we know he's bad. We don't have to know how bad.
Now I was on the fence before, but now I really think he's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
The issue with franchising is there are so many characters that when they're initially shown, we know so little about them, and that's why they're captivating. It's the mystery that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you flesh those details out, the mystery's gone, and therefore so's the interest, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue, you know? That's why like people loved The Dark Knight with the Joker, because they're like, who the fuck is this guy? We don't know anything about him. And he's just the thematic antithesis to the protagonist.
Yeah.
It just worked in a storytelling way.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like Freddy Krueger's like that. He's just like, oh, he's the embodiment of your irrational fears.
Mm-hmm.
And will kill you. That's literally all you need to know. You don't need to know that he also has like 2 mortgages and the IRS is after him and he dropped out of high school and, you know, those details don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, he's on the rocks with his dad. Like they have a rough relationship. He wanted to be a dental hygienist and never made it happen.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, those details are useless.
Yeah, truly. I think it's more...
Can you tell I'm writing fan fiction right now?
Yeah, I was going to ask
Krueger.
what the title was, because it's oddly specific. Sometimes I feel like with canon, it's better left to the sidelines where you can read about it, and then when you watch, your enjoyment is either enriched by it, or you're put off by it. Like, I'm a big Star Wars fan, as some people might know. And what I love about those movies is that there's so much other stuff that you could look into, and you can get to know, like, oh, I know these Jedi Council members in Phantom Menace. I can point them out and tell them my name. But that's not important at all to plot, and it doesn't really matter, but it just makes you feel special that you know a little bit more than the average bear would. But yeah, like in terms of Nightmare, like especially in the first one, it's a lot about just like mystery and who the hell is this guy, or is it even a guy? Is it a force of nature that just wants to kill for killing's sake? And well, really, he's like avenging his own life because he was thrown into a furnace by the parents of the Elm Street kids that were being killed, and well, you know, because he was a pedophile, that he did horrible things. And all this killing is an act of revenge or vengeance.
Yeah, he's a bit of an outsider. Not unlike the character in Raw.
Oh, yeah.
Segue.
Common theme in horror.
Bad guys are outsiders?
You know?
Question mark.
Yeah, they can be.
I mean,
they can
Psycho,
be, especially demons.
So the Psycho guy.
Oh, big time.
Oh yeah,
Psycho
Anthony
guy.
Perkins.
Yeah, and
Midsommar.
Jason. Midsommar.
Well, Midsommar was kind of the opposite. Like, they are the outsiders. Well, it's all about perspective in Midsommar, I think, because it's like the cult itself seems bad to the outsider, but to the cult, the outsiders are the ones that are bad.
Yes.
Except for Dani. Because she's the one that's kind of willing to give in to, or willing to change and be open, I think. That's what I love about Dani's character, is like she's ready to just like take some mushrooms, dance around a pole, watch these things. She's ready to experience emotions that she wasn't able to back at home.
Yeah.
And she's not bad, but like her boyfriend, all of his friends, they're all bad people to the cult. But the cult also seems like a wild group of a wild gang of folks who are just tromping around, pushing people off of cliffs and whatnot.
That old song and dance.
Exactly. Quite literally.
Well, is Jaws is an outsider in that he or she, I think it's a she. Yeah, we watched Jaws 3D, and it's established that it's a she. It's a mommy shark.
Mama.
Bruce.
Mommy shark. So it's that shark is not really an outsider because, well, I mean, it is an outsider because it's not a human, I guess. So there you go. It's the fear of the other.
Mm-hmm.
The shark don't know better.
Quaid.
Oh, Dennis Quaid is in Jaws 3?
3D, yeah, he is.
Shit.
He's the male lead.
Oh.
I'm talking about I almost said Shrek 1. I'm talking
I know.
I don't know why. It's just
you always talk about Shrek.
It always comes back to Shrek, doesn't it?
I was talking about Jaws 1.
You always bring it back to Shrek. You should call this podcast From Justin to Shrek.
Oh, we definitely should.
Or
Oh,
Shrek-tastic.
fuck. We should, maybe we should change it and then just leave the poster as is.
Or just add
poster.
over-ears to everything.
Oh, we could do that. Have we talked about Shrek in every episode? Probably.
I feel like
At
it
some
comes up
point.
at least once, yeah.
Mike loves
Yeah.
Shrek. Let this be known, listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I
who
do.
doesn't? Let's be honest. But also, nobody loves Shrek like Mike.
I think Shrek Fest was canceled this year.
Of course
What?
it was.
I
That's
just
a
read
shame.
that. Yeah.
You don't want to die of COVID and be like
Dressed as Shrek.
He died dressed as Shrek. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. You'll be in the hospital room attached to a respirator painted
Mhm.
green.
Some people might want that, honestly.
That's
That's
true.
when they're like their happiest is doing Shrek cosplay. Who knows?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
might be one of those people. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
as Halloween approaches, will we see a bigger spike in COVID cases because people will be partying inside their house because it's cold, and they feel like compelled by ritual to have Halloween parties instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to sit this year out.
For sure. I think that's a guarantee.
Yeah.
I think so too. And there's a lot of talk. Halloween's very special in my family, but there's a lot of talk of like, how are we going to orchestrate trick-or-treaters
Yeah.
with COVID? And
Yeah, 'cause
just
it's
adjusting
considered-
to that too.
It's considered a high risk activity, trick or treating.
But there's talk
Um,
about like leaving a candy bowl out for the kids to just take their own candy at will. And then assumedly you would sterilize all your candy at the end of the night before your kid touches it.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's going to be a spike because people are stupid by nature.
Mhm.
And people are going to congregate no matter what. But I don't plan to do that as a human being. I have seen just recently that what a lot of people are doing is dressing up as ghosts,
Yeah.
just like taking ghost selfies because it's a pretty like safe way of covering your mouth from droplet transmission
Hmm.
because it's like a bed sheet with 2 eye holes. So people are just really into taking ghost selfies, and I think it'll carry on to the spirit of Halloween.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if people still protest masks in the context of like a Halloween party, like they refuse to wear a mask. But they're like also going to a Halloween party where masks are encouraged because
Yeah.
it's like spooky. Like that's
Yeah.
like a little puzzle people have to wrap their heads around if they're all about that freedom.
That sweet, sweet freedom.
So we can draw this to a close, but one more question. Do you know what you're going as for Halloween?
I have been plotting to go as either Guy Fieri or his
Oh, nice.
sandwich.
What is
This
this
is a couple's
sandwich?
costume?
Just because Jesse and I both love Guy Fieri.
Nice.
Praise be to Guy.
I love that man. He's such a good-hearted man. I could wax poetic about Guy Fieri all day, but I won't because that's not what this podcast is about. But he just loves sandwiches. Like his Instagram is all about like knuckle sandwich. He leaves these 2 emojis all the time, it's just like a fist and a sandwich. So he'll just often respond to people with just like fist sandwich emoji.
That's fun.
That's the name of his production company, I think. It's called Knuckle Sandwich Productions.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God. That's a great costume. That's fucking awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. Many come to me, but right now that's what I've been kind of thinking about a lot. But we'll see.
Yeah.
With resources in school going on and whatever else I'm up to this month. Yeah.
You're saying you'd be so pleased if you died and went to heaven and the first people to greet you was Guy Fieri and Freddy Krueger?
Yeah.
They're
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
welcome.
Exactly.
And you'd be like, oh my gosh, look,
I'm in heaven.
it's my buddies.
Well, Freddy Krueger would say, welcome, bitch. And then Guy Fieri would be like, would give me some sauce.
Yeah.
And magically, some sort of sandwich or fries or something would appear in my hands. You'd be like, you put this sauce on a flip-flop. I'd be like, oh, I've made it. Here I am.
That's great.
Here it is. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being on our pod.
Thanks for having me, you two.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm so tickled that I got to be a part of this beautiful podcast.
And thanks for sharing your expertise. It's nice to have people on this show who know something because Mike and I don't know anything.
Yeah, we know nothing.
So it's huge help to have people come on and they're like, oh, I actually know some things about this specific subject we're talking about.
Yeah, between the two of us, we have one bachelor degree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mike loves bringing up that most of it is his.
Most of it? 99.97.
I
Sure.
took 2 courses, okay?
What'd you take?
I took psychology and sociology, 103 and 101. And then I started introductory to Roman history and film studies 101. And then I dropped out of those 2 courses and started this podcast with Mike. So, things are going really well for me.
You were like,
gravy.
you said out loud, podcasting is the way to the future. That's how I'm going to make my money. And you
Who
shot
needs
your
student
guns.
loans when you can work for free? Yeah, exactly. Boom. Thank you
wrong.
so much, Julia.
No problem.
This was great. And happy Halloween. I hope this Halloween is a good one for you. And I'm sure it'll be weird like it will be for everyone. But I hope you enjoy it and can still enjoy a lot of the traditions that you have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope to still, pumpkin carve and make a bunch of pumpkin things. And, of course, decorate just for me. Because, let's be honest, that's part of the spirit of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag sponsor. Hashtag ad.
And so you can use the promo code from Justin DeCane at the Spirit of Halloween website. Just see what it happens. Most likely you won't get any sort of discount, but maybe you will.
Just type it in.
Just
It's a
type it in.
gamble.
If anything, the person doing their computer coding will be like, why do people keep typing from Justin DeCane? And then they'll look it up and then they'll listen and then they'll become fans. So
Then you'll be
we'll have another
viral.
subscriber.
yeah, so thanks for the viral marketing people for doing that for us.
Yeah, thank
by
you,
just
Spirit of
typing that. Is there anything you want to promote?
Not really. I don't really have anything going on. I'm really just in school and trying to finish up projects so that I can just focus on school. If you want to troll my Instagram or Twitter, I'm at Julia the Grouch. 3 likes my way. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for being on the pod and all of your insight and your both into animal medicine and also movies.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
And you were literally the perfect guest. I mean, you knew about every subject we had to throw at you. You knew lots about Fred Krueger, the film Raw, what it takes to be a veterinarian, why you shouldn't eat people, and Shrek. You literally had it all.
Well,
That's
I did my
amazing.
homework.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say? I'm a student.
And we'll have you on again for our episode 1 episode because I know how much you love Jar Jar.
I love Phantom Menace so much.
Oh yeah.
I'm so honored. I'm there. I'm yours. Just give me a date and time and I'll be there.
Thanks, everyone. This has been from Justin to Kane. We had Julia on this week, and we'll catch you next week. I've been Bob, and
I'm Mike.
Bye.
Bye.